Hey friends, it's been a minute. How are you? I want to sign on right quick and say hello and give thanks for a few things. I actually bothered to watch a couple of videos recently. I know it has been a long time since I've connected with many people in the BC. I'm just happy to see that it's still going and that people who are doing the BC are just doing it. They're doing their thing. Checked in on Sonic Mainliner. The man's record collection is amazing. And right quick, I noticed a message from Gary Schwartz, who had sent me this As It Is CD. He's saying that if you contact him and say that Dereck sent you, you can get a free copy of this. I'll go back and look and see what the address was or the email to write to so you can do it, and then I'll pass that on in the notes. But I just received an album from a viewer, Eric, who had contacted me and asked me what I thought about this album, Apone. I'm assuming that he bought it, didn't think too much of it, and passed it on to me. I graciously accept. This is an album that I used to own. I used to own an original copy of this Gatefold. This is an Italian band, classic and progressive rock mix. Came out in 1975 or 1976. Okay, so when I first bought this album in the 80s as a cutout, I remember getting this when the record store Peaches was having a clearance sale, and they were selling all these imports super cheap because they'd had them forever and couldn't move them. And that's when I was able to afford a copy of this. My impression of the album hasn't changed that much. It's a mixed bag. It starts off quoting a Hindemith symphonic piece, and the guys are very busy and they can play well, but it goes through periods of where this is pretty tasty, and then we'll get to a part where it's like, okay, somebody ran out of ideas, so we got to get through this part to the next good part. Side 2 of this is really good and reminds me of Gentle Giant in parts. So that part I had forgotten. So Eric, thank you very much for reconnecting me to this album, Apone. Would I recommend this to other people who are interested in progressive rock? Actually, yes, I would. Especially in light of the fact of it, looking at it as a period piece from the 70s and what was going on with progressive rock at the time. You know, people were just looking for all kinds of ways to blend different elements to come up with something new. And that's one example of it. Since I spoke to you folks, I listened more to the Swan on the Pond releases and really like this stuff. I'd like to recommend it. Matter of fact, I had a friend come in town and visit a few days ago, another musician who is actually on a vision quest. He's traveling the country right now, doing some soul searching, but he does ambient music as well, and he was a member of my band for a while, years ago. But I played this for him and really knocked him out. And I would say this one in particular, I know this one, this is the one, sorry, this is the one I really like of the two. But he was really knocked out. And I said, you know, this is in the land of Eno. He hadn't heard anything by Eno recently. I said, well, let's do a comparison. So I pulled out and played Reflection. Eno, you can't really see the cover. Eno's recent album, Reflection, on Opal. We both like the Swan on the Pond much better. This is some good stuff. Much better than the latest Eno. Eno does what he does, you know. But this Swan on the Pond is pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. The other thing that I'd like to share, a couple things actually. I'll do this one, and I'm thinking about another one which involves my record collection, opening some things up for sale. Not some real collectible stuff, but I've got such volume that I'm contemplating having a record sale in my house here in the near future, by appointment only, not having a bunch of strangers in my house. But I'm contemplating that. But the other thing I want to say is that my heart goes out to the people in Texas. Hurricane Harvey is unprecedented. The fourth largest city in the United States is inundated with flooding. I have a few friends down there, not a lot, but I think mostly what I'm just aware of is just how this is unusual. We've never had a storm like this before. In these caustic, fractious times, this is what it seems to take for people to come back together, is to have some sort of catastrophe. I mean, down in Texas, the last thing that people need to be doing is talking about their political differences and just working on surviving and working together. That's what I wrote on my Facebook page today. It's an old saying, but it's true, and there's no escaping the truth of it. United we stand, divided we fall. We've allowed ourselves to become really divided as people through really weird notions and ideologies that a lot of them are just really, they don't stand. And yet our lives are run by them, to the point that people are attacking each other and having protests, and people are making stuff up so they have an excuse to hurt other people. It's pretty ridiculous, and it's pretty stupid. And I just wonder where all the adults are. What happened to maturity? What happened to the ability to think objectively? United we stand, divided we fall. I think people need to get with the program, and I'd like to hear more people spreading this message of let's find a way to work together. It's not about agreeing, it's about getting along. Something else that came to mind, when you look at life, 90% of life, what actually happens in life, quite literally, is maintenance. Eating, shelter, enrichment, social. And so it's like, if 90% of life is maintenance, stuff that everybody needs, how insane is it to think that we are at each other's throats over thoughts, when in fact we all really want the same thing?